Guys, welcome back. Combat Insiders here with Wayne Carl, our Aussie correspondent out there in the Outback, and we're here with Nathan, the Vanilla Gorilla Reddy, 71 professional, the #1 ranked light heavyweight in the Australia New Zealand area, and the Triple X Academy gym owner. Nathan, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, you going, man? You going good?
Hey, we're doing good, man.
Just a quick update. I've just got 8-1 now, so just so everyone knows, I'm 8-1.
Oh well,
no,
got it. Noted. Very much noted.
Yeah, so far so
I'm
good.
going to get Nathan. I'm going to get straight into the pointy end because I wanted to talk to you about something. UFC 234. The full card just got released. No Nathan Reddy. Tell me you're at least on standby. You've had a call that you're on weight. That if someone pulls out, you're going to call on the #1 Aussie New Zealander to at least represent us. Tell us you've at least got a phone call.
Let me tell you, I'm on weight. I will pay for my own flights and accommodation. I'm ready to fight. I'm fit. I'm healthy. I'm 8-1. I'm coming off a win streak, and I don't get not one bit of interaction from anyone. There is not a message. There is not a phone call to say we're looking. There's not. They literally don't give you any sort of signs towards UFC whatsoever. it's bizarre. I don't know.
I was going to ask how that works. You're ranked #1, and I look at the rankings and I look around for your next opponent, which is one of the questions I'm going to ask is, what's next? I look around and probably the one person I thought that you could fight dropped to middleweight and picked up the DFC title. Everybody else, you're pretty much either beaten or you're at another level. So if it's not UFC, sorry Josh, I know this is your question, but what's next for Nathan Reddy?
Yeah, I'm still going to just keep training exactly what I do. I'm still growing. Like my last fight, I worked on my wrestling and all that sort of stuff, but there's other promotions that I might have to jump on board with, I suppose, if UFC don't pick me up, and I'm just have to. I don't really know how to answer the question. I've been trying. I've posted different videos. There's different episodes going up on me, and so you can see a full insight of what goes on before fights and after fights. None of this, the usual, the highlight reel, whatever one puts up. I haven't even done that. I've just gone the complete opposite and just done like an everyday life sort of thing. Literally. It's getting lots of reach, lots of views, and still nothing. I don't know if it's just my head, or is it something I'm doing wrong, or is it the people I'm fighting, or is it the promotions I'm fighting on, or there's a lot of questions that get thrown around. I just don't know. I don't know.
Maybe you're too respectful, Nathan. Maybe you should just start. I know it's not your style, but just start talking shit to people, and maybe they'll take notice and do it better. Actually, don't do that because you know what? It won't come off authentic. Just be yourself, mate, and I'm sure if you
that's another thing, man. Definitely won't come off authentic. I don't mind if someone smack talks me. I'm there. I'll probably laugh at it. It'll probably be funny. I get smack talk in the gym every day by my coach. It's fine. I have a good laugh, but just the only person you can be is yourself, man. And I'd like something like even if I got on a podcast like this and you just come and said, "Oh, Nate, I think obviously you'd get in if you need to work on." Maybe your transitions from striking to wrestling and stuff like that, or just give me some sort of feedback so I know what I'm doing wrong and I can go work on it. But literally right now I'm working on everything. I'm literally I've narrowed everything down. I'm working on step by steps, just what I think I'm doing wrong and what the coaches think I need to work on. But there's no outsider coming in to say, listen, we are looking at you and we want you to do this or work on that and we'll probably pick you up. There's literally nothing. It feels like Australia. UFC's in Australia, we're getting the biggest sellout crowds in 8 minutes. We're selling out a whole stadium in 8 minutes, but they can't give us, the Australian fighters, any sort of feedback whatsoever, even the up-and-comers. There should be someone that we could speak to say, all right, you know what, you're probably worthwhile to look at now, or maybe you should work on this before we look at you, or just something, give us something. Like a road to follow would be great. I'd appreciate that.
Seeing your last 2 Hex fights, one was a head kick KO, and they're still looking for Parminder Singh Soul down at the Pavilion. And the next one, you took on, Bob Armstrong, who's highly respected, and he kebbed him for 3 rounds. It was probably one of the greatest grappling fights I've seen. And, you know, you get the crowd that don't understand what was happening, but that was pure 15 minutes of domination, and I had it 3, 10, 8 rounds. So I don't know what more you could do other than, you know, getting on as many podcasts, hence the reason I've got the boys from Combat Insiders, and we can share this everywhere and just try to get, you know, the number 1 Aussie out there, mate. Sorry to cut you off, Josh, go for it.
No, I was just going to comment. You know, I think it'd be a great service to put one of those PI centers, UFC PI centers out there in Australia. There's enough talent out there, and I think there's enough of an interest that I think it would do great. I mean, I know he's talking about putting like 3 in Mexico or something crazy like that. You know, they're talking about putting one in the UK. You know, I feel like Australia, like I said, the MMA scene there. You know, just from, you know, we hear the noise all the way out here in the States. You know, you guys are making a lot of noise out there. And I feel like it's like you guys are right on the cusp. I mean, it's really, really blowing up. And I don't know, man. I can't figure out why they wouldn't do that. But just to kind of, just out of sheer curiosity, and I hope this isn't like this seems kind of like a generic question, but I'm honestly curious. John Jones, Gus, right? I just, before we get to you know, some of the other stuff, I'd be curious to get your thoughts on John Jones and Gus, and the fact that John Jones, regardless, I guess, of what people think of him, he's the number 1 light heavyweight. You're an up and coming light heavyweight, soon to be. Hopefully, you're going to get that call when you get in there, and you know, get a couple W's under your belt. Hopefully, get into the top 15, make your way into the top 10. Is John Jones somebody that, you know, that we've all seen so many fights of his? Is he somebody that you think that you could figure out, because his game, his style is so different, and I've always said that he always changes his style to fit his opponent. Yeah, and it's kind of hard to figure. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, looking at that fight, if you look back at the Jones and Gustafsson first fight, man, that was a cracker fight. I actually had Gustafsson to win. I actually gave it to him to win, and I was like, man, Gustafsson, he came out of nowhere and just, like, he put on a good show. And I was expecting the same thing this show, and it sort of let me down. I feel like Gustafsson just wasn't there. He just didn't show up. In saying that, he didn't really give anything new, where John Jones was giving stuff new and was putting Gustafsson off his game, where Gustafsson was like a robot. He didn't really shine for me that on the night. No disrespect to Gustafsson, he's obviously world champion material, but I feel like he needed to really change up his game. He's already fought John Jones. John Jones knows exactly what he's got. So have a look at the tape, go back and see what was working. John Jones was obviously going to look at the tape and see what was working, obviously, and you're going to have to mix it up a little bit, eh? Like, you've really got to mix it up. You can't just stand and strike with John Jones. He's next level. He's next level freak.
Could Nathan Reddy double leg him with those pin legs of his? Could you pin him against the cage and take him down? I think you could.
It's worth a try. You're getting beat standing up. Like, you'd think Gustafsson would at least try. Like, that's the whole idea of MMA. If you're getting beaten standing up, try the ground game. If that's not working, fake the ground game, go to the head, go back to the ground. That's the whole point of MMA. It's about mixing it up. Mixed martial arts. You've got to mix it up every time. You might not be the best grappler in the world, and you're coming up. I might be a white belt coming up against a black belt, but I can guarantee you, I'll hit him enough times to be a white belt, and he might just be on the same level as me. And that's what you've got to try and do to these John Joneses and Gustafsson. They got to really try and mix it up. Gustafsson didn't bring any extra game. He didn't do anything to John Jones to phase him. John Jones pretty much done what he wanted to the whole time.
Yeah, it was almost like, you know, in that, you know, whatever, how long has it been since they fought? 4 or 5 years. It was almost like it was the same Gus that fought 4 or 5 years ago versus John Jones. Exactly. John Jones was he was 3 or 4 steps ahead of him every time, and the one thing Gus kind of had on him in the first fight was his boxing was just a little bit sharper. It was a little bit sharper than Jones was, and I've even said that you might be able to argue that his footwork was just a touch better than Jones was in that first fight, which is why he got the drop on him a couple times and kind of Some people think that he kind of edged him out, but it was close, right? It was a close fight, that first one.
Yeah.
This one, Jones, it just seems
Definitely.
like every weakness Jones had in that first fight, he changed it around. He made it a strength. He outplayed Gus at his own game, and it was just you're right. Gus really seemed like he didn't show up. It was it was just almost awkward. He almost looked awkward in there. He looked kind of stiff. He never really seemed like he just loosened up and got into it. I've always said this, that I think the one thing that like heavyweight division is missing in the top 10, and I'm hoping Anthony Smith can do this because he has shown glimpses of this, is the one thing that Jones has never really faced is a savage, as in like someone who's really going to come forward, take the bombs, and just keep coming and keep swinging. I don't think you're going to be able to outstrike him from a technical point. You're not going to be able to out-wrestle Jones. There's a lot of things that you can't do. But you can test his heart. Test his heart, test his resilience, test his, I'm going to keep getting in your face no matter how many times you hit me. I'm hoping maybe Anthony Smith is that answer, but, we have to wait and see that. But, I guess let's just jump real quick. Sorry, that was kind of I just kind of curious to get your thoughts on that. And but the world of MMA, man, how did you get into it? How did you develop your passion for punching people in the face for a living?
Well, I always grown up out here in southwest Sydney. We grew up always playing football, rugby league. So I was always a rugby player. And it come to a time when I was like about 14, 15, and I was like, I'm going to try something new. So I ended up catching a train to Minto, which is a couple of suburbs away, and running to PCYC. And I've done that and started boxing. We started doing a bit of boxing out of the PCYC there. And I think after the 4th day of training, we ended up jumping the van, me and my brother and a good mate of mine, and we drove up to Yass, which is like a 4-hour drive or something, and had our first boxing fight. So I trained for 4 days and went and got myself handed to me by some, like an amateur fight, which was good. It was only 3 2-minute rounds. I think I lasted 30 seconds. I gave him the best 30 seconds of my life, and I was all his after that. It was just all downhill. But ever since then, after that fight, I've pretty much done about 13 amateur fights, done really well. And then the passion it's always there. The boxing was always there for me. And then, I got to about 29 years old. I was doing pad work with my coach, who's still my coach now and a good friend. And I was doing jiu-jitsu with my younger brother. And he sort of just said, man, you're good with your legs, you're good with your hands, you're moving well. Why don't you just try jumping on one of these shows? It was actually Steve Jez's show on Memory Road. I can't remember the actual name of it, which was pretty cool. It was actually in a boxing ring. So I was like, let's do it. Let's give it a go. So that was my first ever fight, and I ended up winning that. I ended up doing I got a back take and ended up doing a big wrestling slam. Mind you, I never wrestled. It just sort of happened, and I've just done this big wrestling slam. I finished with a bit of ground and pound in 2 minutes into the first round. I was like, this is pretty cool. Let's do this. This is good fun. Then my next fight was actually at the Gladiators. My second and third amateur fight was at Gladiators in Penrith. And so literally that was 2 weeks after my first fight. I had my second fight. I took it on like a short notice. I said, I'll fight this guy. The guy I was fighting was well known. He's from the Lions Den. He was 3-0 at the time, and he just won a white belt jiu-jitsu competition. And I was like, oh man, I haven't even done a jiu-jitsu comp yet. I wonder how I go against this guy. So literally I had James Tahunan was actually helping me the last week of the fight, and all we were doing was standing up. And I got to the second fight. This guy came out. He was a beast. He took me down 8 times in the first round, and I just kept standing up. And literally, the only thing that won was heart that day. And I literally got him in the third round, and I ended up switching over on him and sweeping him and just finishing him in turtle. And the ref called the fight a couple of minutes into the third round. It's like, man, this is our next level. This is crazy. Mind you, I was getting I'm pulling some good numbers to the crowds here. All the local guys are loving it. They're all coming out. It's giving them something to do on the weekends, which is cool. It's good to see, getting high fives from everyone. People I haven't seen in a long time. So ever since then, I've just stuck with it, and I've just been loving it ever since. And the actual growth of it, the jiu-jitsu, the wrestling, the judo, the boxing, the kickboxing, the strength and conditioning, it doesn't stop. And I'm always learning something new, and I think that's the best part.
I'm going to talk about your pro career. What's your favourite battle? As you said, you've had 8 wins, not 7. I guess how far would you update that? But what's your favourite battle so far in your pro career? I think you've been pro for, what, 5 years now? You're 34 or 35? You had a birthday since our Q&A.
I'm actually 34. I turned 35 this year, but I started amateur when I was 29. So what have I had? 2 years, 3 years of pro? 3 years? Yep. I think it's been pro 3 years, and I've done a lot of fights. Man, I was having 4 fights a year, 3 fights, 4 fights. It's good. I love to keep busy.
What's your favourite battle? Your favourite win?
You know what? My favourite win was probably my second pro fight against Terminator.
Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty good. You know, I was coming off. I had a fight. My first pro fight was Jamie Lindquist. He only had 1 pro fight, 1 win, and I was coming to my first pro fight, and I finished him in the first round.
Yeah.
Then I come to the Terminator, Mike Turner, the Terminator, and his record was like much better than anyone else's that I've seen. I was like, oh, it's going to be a real cracker fight. He was a brown belt jiu-jitsu. I was only blue belt. I thought, oh, this is gonna be really, really good. The best part of that fight was when everyone from the crowd offered me $5,000 if I won it in the first round.
Wow.
Yeah. So I a really good show that day, and you know what? I just outboxed him pretty much. I didn't let him get close. I stayed long. I come in when I had to. I moved back when I had to. Full work paid off. Landed some good shots, and I won the fight in the first round and got paid. So that was always a memorable one. And ever since then, the boys never really offer up any money now. So it's a bit of a letdown.
Well, from my perspective, I've seen a lot of your fights, but the first Hex fight against Parminder Singh, who I heard you were very ill going into that fight, which no one knew, and you had to finish it early because you'd been bedridden, and the head kick KO, which I've shared everywhere. For me, that was a highlight. I know the Bob Armstrong technically was probably a better performance by yourself because you dominated for 15, but for you to go out there as ill as you were, which I only found out later from our friend Wombat, and I've got a question about Wombat later, was absolutely amazing, mate. And I'll throw over to Josh. It's going to speak about the Triple X Academy.
Yeah, man.
Thanks,
so the Triple X Academy. Is there any one of your students in particular that you think maybe that we should keep an eye out for?
Oh man, let me tell you, there's a couple of guys. A couple of them are still amateur. We've got a good pro, Caleb Rideout. He had 1 pro fight. He lost by submission against a really tough guy. But all credits to Caleb for taking the fight. He's improved so much, man. I can't believe how much Crazy Horse. So Caleb, Crazy Horse Rideout. This kid, he's got something else, man. He's got plenty of heart and he's got plenty of learning ability. If you can spend so much time on the mat with this guy and just the way he moves around, this guy can do like a roll around in his neck. He's so hard to keep down, it's so hard to submit, so hard to even pick off. He's so long and he's using that long distance fight style. And let me tell you, he's taller than me. He's 70 kilos. He's taller. He's longer. Definitely someone to look out for. But I've got a whole heap of amateurs here that are definitely coming through the ranks. I can't wait for them to turn pro. They're going to have a few more amateur fights, and then they're going to make some noise. We've got Heath, the Flash Knight. We've got Lachlan Steer, Alistair Keane, and all these guys are they're going to be next level. They've been putting the work in, and it's really showing. It's really paying off for them.
2 quick questions, Nathan. Funniest and most annoying? I reckon you're probably going to say the same bloke, but of your teammates, let's give them a shout out. Who's the funniest and who's the most annoying? And I actually think I know the answer to this because I think it might be the same bloke that you just actually.
The funniest guy in the gym is definitely Crazy Horse Rideout. The most annoying person in the gym is definitely Crazy Horse Rideout.
He's a ripper.
Got a heart.
If anyone hasn't seen the first series, what Wombat Jones released following you around, watch it to the last second and watch what he actually does in the elevator. It's worth watching it just for that. That's a great series by Wombat Jones, who I'm just going to touch on. Little Birdie told me you're doing a certain marsupial was doing a little bit of work behind the scenes for Nathan Reddy. How's that going?
Yeah, man. Yeah, he's going really well, eh? Really well. So we got a few things in the pipeline. He's doing a lot for me actually, and I'm very appreciative for any sort of help from anyone that I can get, which is always good to have these friends by your side. I appreciate it heaps. So it's really
Don't
good.
shout him out too much because he's annoying. So it's all good. He's staying at my joint in a
It's
couple
all
of
about
weeks.
talk.
We've got to get his head through the door. Good stuff. Over to you. Over to you, Josh.
Nathan, your biggest inspiration, I guess, maybe reason why you got into this.
You know what? I've always loved George St. Pierre. I've always watched the old countdowns, the UFC countdowns, but it was always something different about the countdowns with George St. Pierre. He always done something different. Everyone was showing how hard they trained and how tough they are. Where George St. Pierre actually got his coaches and broke down the actual fight that he was fighting and why he's breaking it down and why he's doing something. And then after it, he would come back and show how that worked. And the way he did it, I think, evolved MMA a slight step. I think everyone started taking notes and started saying, well, we're probably better off. It's more of a technical sport than what we think than getting there and just brawling. Where back then there was a lot of brawlers, and George St. Pierre actually made it a clinical game. So I think ever since I've watched him and the way he broke it all down, and I've just I've taken all that and I'm running with it.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people gave him slack for that because I know, you know, back then the people were calling his fights boring, especially towards the end. But his fight IQ, I still put it up there even right now. I put his fight IQ up there with, you know, the best guys in the game.
Josh, the only people that call him boring, and we don't call them casual fans, we call them common fans.
Sure.
They're the common fans that don't know what they're watching and they call it boring.
What? No, 100%. Because anybody that, you know, has watched more than a handful of fights can see, you know, like Nathan said, the way he breaks down, and his team too, the way his coaches break it down. You know, Zahabi and oh man, what's his jiu-jitsu coach's name? John.
The bald guy.
Anyway, his name is John. His name is John. I can't think of his last name for the life of me. But you know, like the way they break stuff down to it's to a science. You know what I mean? An actual science. The way they break their opponents down and they, you know, put that game plan specifically to that opponent. It's just absolutely amazing. I think George St. Pierre will go down for me as he's got to be up there. I don't know if I'll ever say the best,
Josh,
but
Josh, say it. He's the GOAT.
He's damn good. He really, I mean, he's damn good. He really is. I hate saying somebody is the absolute best because I feel like there's always somebody else. But if there's anybody, it would be him. I really think so. If anybody's the GOAT of all time, I think it's George St. Pierre. And even now, I think George St. Pierre could jump off the couch and
you know what?
You know.
For back in that era, George St. Pierre definitely changed the game. I think today's era, man, hats off to Mighty Mouse. This guy, I don't feel like Mighty Mouse gets enough credit for what he's achieved, man. Like, watch this guy fight. Watch Mighty Mouse fight. It's always exciting. It's always incredible. The way he transitions from striking to takedowns to movement.
Yes.
It's just a whole other level again. So that's like, I feel like he's...
Agreed.
But you know what? I'd love to fight like him, but... I mean, I'm definitely not going to be as fast as that kid.
Hats off to the midgets, boys. Hats off to the midgets. I just want to ask you, I mean, obviously you've got a young family. How do they go, with you fighting? Is it something that they encourage or it's something that they just let you go because they know it's your passion? How do they feel about, you know, dad or husband or boyfriend? How do they feel about you? You know, entering into the octagon, mate, because it is a dangerous sport. Anything could happen. How do they feel? And, you know, shout out to your family.
Yeah, man. All credit to them. They're always by my side, man. They're always helping me. Even my oldest daughter's 11. The next one's like 8. They're always getting stuff ready for me. They always help me with dinner. They always help me with breakfast. Daddy, you feeling good today? Like, how you feeling? How was training? They're always like, they love it. I think ever since I took them to my first, I think they come to my 4th pro fight. The 4th pro fight I took Cody to, so my youngest son. He was only 2 at the time, and I thought, man, it might be a bit young for him to come. My daughters have been coming since I was an amateur fighter, and they've been coming watching. And let me tell you, if I can't hear no one in the crowd, I can definitely hear my daughters screaming, Go, Dotty, get up, Budget! Like, and let me tell you, they're sweating from yelling out. But they've always got me back being, God love them all, mate. Always.
Fantastic,
That's
mate.
awesome,
Fantastic.
man. Well, you already kind of answered the next question, so I'll kind of reword it a little bit. But you talked about George St. Pierre, being one of your biggest inspirations. But I guess, maybe name a couple other people. Who do you like to fight? Maybe like in the current era, whether it's Bellator, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, whatever combat sport it is. Who's somebody that you, every time that they're on, they're on a card, you're like, I've got to see that. No matter where, I've got to tune in and watch that fight.
Yeah, who would that be? You know what? Actually, coming off that question, I was looking at the Bellator light heavyweight rankings the other day. You know who's in the number one ranking? Not the champion, but number one? Rampage Jackson. Last time I looked, he was number one. I don't know if it's changed, but Rampage Jackson is still fighting in Bellator. Mate, I would love to go to Bellator, just have a go at Rampage Jackson. At least I could put my hand up and say I was in the Octagon with Rampage Jackson, the old school favourite. If you have not watched Rampage Jackson in the Octagon, you have to leave. Coming out with his big gold chain, put on a good show. But to answer your question, someone that always excites me, he's not even my weight class, man. McGregor always excites me, but it's because of his mouth and the way he moves. He was a similar thing to George St. Pierre. He breaks down the fights, but he's got that southpaw orthodox Irish style, and it's always good to. Nate Diaz is another one, man. You always have to watch Nick and Nate Diaz fight. You cannot miss one of them fights. But of course, different weight classes. But I'd love to try strip down and have a bit of a go with these guys, man. They're like next level tough and exciting to watch.
Could you get to 185, Nate? Could you get down to 185? Do you think?
Honestly, right now I'm walking around 94 kilos. So but literally I've got no fat. So all these guys that strip down, they've got fat to lose. I've got no fat. I don't know if it'll hurt me or not. I haven't really tried. When I first started amateur fighting, everyone said, you're too small for light heavyweight. You got to go down to middleweight and all this sort of stuff. But then I won 6 straight fights as an amateur, and then I won 2 as a pro. And then when I lost, everyone said, you probably should go to middleweight. I said, mate, I've had 1 loss.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why do I have to strip weight? And this is another subject as well. How is me getting down to 84 kilos going to benefit in any way? What's going to happen? I'm going to fight smaller guys. I'm going to be smaller. I would prefer to fight the bigger guy and be the smaller person. That way it looks better if I lose. It looks even better if I win. I feel like that's the mentality people should take. I fight heavyweight. I actually fought a heavyweight when I was amateur, and it was a catch weight for heavyweight. It was like 97 kilos, and I won the title up there. I don't know if they've got classes of ranking, but that was as an amateur anyway up in Queensland. Man, I don't mind. I'd rather fight the bigger guy any day. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about this whole cut and weight situation. I think it hurts too many guys. It cuts your career in half, and it's just not good for you. It's simply not good for you.
Yeah. The reason I was thinking about it that way is because you look at the Australian rankings and you down, everyone down away from maybe you or just want to fight another like DFC, Elchin, those sort of guys. And I'm just thinking for matchups, because you really need to get in the UFC, Bellator. That's the way that I look at it. If your career ends and you don't to show the world what Nathan Reddy's about, I think it'd be a shame. You and Cal Potter are probably the next two that I'm thinking these two have got to get in, and hence the reason why I'm reaching out, trying to get everyone's name out there. Wombat's doing the same thing, because if you two don't get to that top echelon, for Australian MMA, it would be massive to get Nathan Reddy, Cal Potter, these sort of guys in, and just at least give you an opportunity, because I know for a fact that once you get in there, people are going to say, hey, where'd these guys come from? Where they're sitting underneath everybody's nose and they're not even reaching out. And it's not like no one knows who you are. You're the number 1 ranked guy in New Zealand and Australia. Wake up, UFC, Bellator, give the guy a chance. I've seen him fight. Make sure it happens. Before I kick into the rapid 4, have you got anything to add, Josh?
I'd actually like to chime in on the question about guys fighting in smaller weight class than they should, and I think he's right on the point. And actually, I have a question, and maybe it's kind of like to both of you guys, because I'm not familiar with like the like the amateur wrestling scene out there in Australia, but I know that in America it's an epidemic where these guys cut a shit ton of weight. They cut so much weight to try to get down to the smallest weight class possible so they can be as big as possible in that weight class. I know I know wrestling isn't as big in the UK, but I don't think they have the same issues there. How does that translate over, like, you know, to the Australian wrestling community? Is it like that there? Do these guys just, you know, cut a tremendous amount of weight? Is it something that's maybe carried over from the States and maybe the guys over there just kind of adopted? Or how's that community out there as far as that goes?
Go for it, Dave.
Yeah, well, I can't speak to the wrestling side of it. In jiu-jitsu comps, definitely. Yeah. They cut weight just to jump into comps as well. MMA and boxing you really can't as an amateur. Boxing, you have to weigh in on the day that you fight. So if you're cutting weight on the day that you're fighting, you're going to be in big trouble. You're going to be in big trouble.
Yeah.
Definitely for MMA, you're cutting weight. Let's touch on the subject of why you're cutting weight. Okay, you're training your ass off to be the best you can be, and to you're not just training to be the best. You're looking after yourself so you recover so much better than everyone else. Recovery is just as important as your training, right?
Yeah.
So what's happening to you when you cut weight? You ain't recovering from nothing, and you're deteriorating your body.
Yes.
So punch that up. Right? That's gone. That's your nutrition-wise is just gone straight through the drain because you've just lost everything. Okay. Now your mentality of your training, does that change because you think in your head that you need to fight a smaller guy? Like, how's your mentality while you're training? I need to strip weight because I need to fight this smaller guy.
Yeah.
Man, I need to gain weight because I want to fight this big ass dude who's massive, and it's going to make me feel better about myself. If I can beat the big guy, don't worry, I'm not even worried about what these small guys are. I want my mentality to be, I want to beat the biggest guy available. And that's what it used to be. That's what it should be, and that's what I feel like that's a big subject that no one ever reaches. So cutting weight, but mentally, where's your head at? Where's your head at mentally? Why do you want to cut this weight? Like, it's a real, you know what, it really gets me fired up actually, hey. I don't understand. People are always telling me to cut weight. I'm walking around at my fight weight right now. I'm ready to fight tomorrow. I might not be, let me tell you, my first round will be cracking, and I'll just have to try and coast from there.
Yeah.
But I'm ready to go. I'm ready to fight. I don't need to cut weight. These guys are getting 10-day fall-ups. They have to cut weight just to fight. You know what I mean? That's all they're doing in that 10 days. They're not learning. So you're calling these guys up, you're making them sign a contract, they're getting pumped, 10 days notice for UFC. And all they're doing is cutting weight. That you can't do that to the guys, man. It's give them some notice. Let the guys know that you're looking at them. Give them some feedback at least. You know, I feel like Australia is such an untouched part of the world with UFC and Bellator that you're actually doing more damage than good. You're doing more harm than good. I feel like I've just gone way off the subject.
Two guys.
What's that, sorry?
Yeah, Robert Whittaker, 170, went to 185. He's looked unbeatable. Even Matthews, I know he lost his last fight, even though he dominated 2.5 rounds. Again, he stepped up, went from 155 to 170. He was a different fighter. So, again, totally concur with what you're saying, mate.
Yeah, you know, and there's medical... Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, man.
Sorry, so look at our 1FC. 1FC have literally taken it upon themselves to push all of themselves up, their weight classes up. So my weight now in 1FC would be middleweight. Yeah, so that's how it'll be. They get water tested. They had a guy die because of this. So, but does UFC need to wait for someone to die and before they adopt this measure, or even maybe add some extra weight classes? I remember they all approved a couple of years ago all these new weight classes, like an 88 kilo, and then the ones in between, but that was like 3 years ago and still nothing. You don't hear nothing from that. It's like they just don't want to do it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, and like you said, it's bad for the brain because one of the medical side effects of cutting so much weight, it's, you know, in your brain you've got water up there, and when you dehydrate yourself so severely, it makes your brain more susceptible to injury, especially like when you're getting punched and kicked around up there. So there's less cushion, is what they say, from the water. And it gets knocked around, and you're more susceptible to something really serious. So, yeah, man, 1,000%. I think it's a topic that's not talked about enough, and I think that guys should just fight closer to their healthy, you know, a good healthy weight. They should fight closer to their weight. And I hate using the word epidemic. That sounds real dramatic, but you know, I think it's really bad, and I think it's the whole MMA community, the wrestling community, like you said, even some of the jiu-jitsu community. It's something that needs to be changed, and I don't know where to start. You know,
it's a bigger issue than a pico in the 205 champion. Let's look at it this way: there's bigger. I think weight cutting is worse than drugs in the sport. I think, as you said, epidemic. 100%. I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Let me tell you, the first thing that I like to work on with the guys at my gym is their mental preparation. Okay, mental preparation is everything. If you're not going to back your heart and yourself and your ability, you shouldn't be in the octagon. You need to mentally cut down 10 kilos of weight to fight a smaller guy. You're not ready for the octagon. There's no possible way that you're mentally ready to fight someone if you think you have to strip 10 kilos to fight a smaller guy, because you're going to be the biggest of that weight division. Mentally, where's your head at?
Spot on. Mate, I'm going to throw into my rapid fire 4. Nick or Nate Diaz? Who's the better fighter?
What's that, sorry?
Nick or Nate Diaz? Who's the better fighter?
See, this is a tough one, man. Nate Diaz got the big call-up, the big money fight, you know? So everyone loves Nate. He's got the big money fight. Nick Diaz was too high at the time, and now he's just pulled out of some fights. So I feel like if Nick come back now, he'd be in his prime a bit. The Diaz brothers together are just unstoppable. I'd have to say Nate, just because he puts on a world-class show.
Oh, we're lucky Nick Patella's not here, because he's the biggest nut hugger in America of the Diaz fans. But we'll move on. What would you rather see, Conor versus Khabib or Khabib versus Ferguson? Next fight.
Khabib versus Ferguson. Ferguson definitely has earned the fight.
Cool. So there's 2 pubs near where you live. Tyson Fury's in one, Wilder's in the other. Who are you going to have a beer with?
Wow. You know what? I'll probably go Tyson Fury, because I know it's going to be a hell of a night.
Back to McGregor. Are you going to have a beer with him, or are you going to punch him in the head? You got one choice.
What was that?
You either have a beer with McGregor or punch him in the head. Which one are you going to do?
Definitely have a beer with the guy. I love him.
Nice, mate.
all right, fair enough. Hey man, well look, any sponsorship shout outs? You know, anything like that, social media, where can we see you at?
Oh man, we've got a whole heap of sponsors here looking after us, which is definitely our backbone of our community, especially for all the fighters at the gym as well, man. We've got Celebrity Ink tattoos, which are all over the world. If you need tattoos, go straight to any Celebrity Ink. I just got some work done at Phuket, Thailand. Unbelievable artists. Some of the stuff that I seen walk out of there looks spot on real. It looked like some of the people looking at me. It was crazy. We got Bridgestone in Campbelltown. If you're ever over here in Camden or Campbelltown way, go to Bridgestone and get your tyres. MacArthur United Real Estate. If you ever need real estate rentals, buying, selling, MacArthur Real Estate definitely are the people that look after me and look after everyone at this gym. Vitamin King, in anywhere in Australia, definitely take care of all my supplements and my nutritional needs, especially my recovery. God love them. If it wasn't for them, I'd probably be.
Look like me, Nathan.
Yeah, we've got heaps, man. There's so much. Christian Paul watches. Definitely put my kids through college. God love yous. I don't know if you should put it up there. It's probably bad to say. Yeah, there's so many sponsors always looking after us, man. They help us get to and from fights. They help us with all the new gear, man. They've helped me deck. Some of these guys have helped me deck me gym out. All credits to them. I love yous all.
Awesome.
Nathan Reddy, UFC Ready. That's your new slogan, I reckon. Nathan Reddy, UFC Ready. Let's get that name out there. You got to get a fight, because I know once you get in there, you're there to stay, mate. Josh, thanks for coming in and helping me. Nath, amazing, mate. I know you're busy. You've probably got a class in about 2 minutes, and they're probably all looking at you going, come on, boss. I'm sure that's what's actually happening. So, yeah, thanks for your time, mate, from Combat Insiders. Nathan, ready for UFC, mate, and we're pulling for you.
Thank you, Josh, and thank you, mate. Anytime.
Yes, sir. Have a good one, man.
Thanks, buddy.